So I'm sitting on the couch. Audio?
Is it like a bedroom? Where are you?
Yes. Well, we're reorganizing because we're reorganizing for both of us to now work from home. You can't use the same desk when you're both working from home. So,
Oh,
and we're setting up separate spaces in case we both have like meetings or whatever. So,
I know. She always complains I'm loud, like when I'm on the phone and stuff. But she's always on the phone though. Like she's
I was
never
gonna,
not on the phone.
I was gonna say, I never don't hear you in the background when we're doing our staff meetings, but
No, I'm not on the phone
you
as
guys
much.
both have a lot.
Yeah, it makes it a little difficult in the office sometimes, but by the end of the year, I got to move out of this commercial building. So, um, I just think that we're going to probably move. Well, I'm going to build a new house, so on the ranch, and then we build a new house. We'll build two separate offices, so she can have one, and because I'm going to sell this commercial building, and then we'll just office out of the house because we're only there, 6 months out of the year anyways. So it's just easier to do that. So we'll see.
The dogs are going insane downstairs because the mail always comes while I'm podcasting, I guess. It's never fails. Never fails. Well, we should probably give the people what they want, which is the political. Tell them what's going on.
I know, right? Okay, so here, quick.
The answer is nothing. Nothing's happening.
Right.
Nothing's
like
going
nothing
on.
really. Well, we're in this 45-day window when all the candidates go on vacation.
And some of the legislators too. We may touch on that briefly later.
Yeah, there's definitely some that were on vacation too. It's a good time because in election season, because then after July 4th, everybody really kind of starts gearing up. And of course, the lobby, they don't actually start gearing up until like September 20th. But they, everybody kind of, the summer, because all your candidates come back and they have to start going door to door and, it's just kind of start putting their plans and their teams together and stuff that are going to be in competitive races. The ones that aren't in competitive races, they just hang out and have a great summer, right? So, yeah.
They should be raising money though. So if you guys are slacking off, go raise some money.
It's hard to raise money in the summer.
That's true.
It's tough, but I mean, it doesn't mean you don't try because usually a strong summer effort will translate into a good fall recovery. So that usually is why you want to like put the effort in, because if you do like a couple mailers over the summer and it'll make that one that you do, come in mid-September, it'll make it a little bit more effective because you kind of reach them a couple of times and now they're ready to activate. So I always look at it that way. And most of my candidates are pretty good at raising money but it's not out of work. Yeah. Or it comes out of work. So, all right, Reagan, final results to talk about. U.S. Senate, DBS wins by 8,000 votes against Joe Ray Perkins. That's basically final.
Are we? Have we? When's certification? That's the thing I missed. Do you know when the votes are certified?
30 days from, so it should have been Tuesday.
Okay, great. So these would be totals. That won't stop Joe Ray Perkins from posting that there's still a chance for her to win if Mike Pence does the right thing. She was faithful there, man. Every drop we gained, we gained, and then there was one drop where she lost, and she posted there might be fraud. So anyway,
oh my god,
so funny.
Yeah, DBS, he was pretty nervous too that obviously he closed and lose because you never know like where the ballots come from. So if they come from an area in which she does pretty well, you're like, whoa.
I'd say they tend to be more stable on a statewide race because everybody's counting at the same time and on a very similar cadence for the most part. And so as long as your results are the same in all the big counties as their late ballots kind of trickle in, you should be fine. It's these smaller races where it could be one area that's all that's left. So I always thought he was in pretty good shape once he was ahead on election. I think he was ahead on election night. Yeah.
Yeah. Statewide, it's kind of tough for those things. Of course, unless you're running for governor and you're the Democrat, then it's all Democrat votes to come in late. But
all hard left progressive ballots.
Multnomah County, which is the closest. Like I say, Multnomah County has the closest places from the election boxes to the headquarters, but yet they're always the last ones to count in the
Hmm.
middle of the night. Yeah, I always find that funny. Oh, but we have to
Or
drive to
like
Gresham.
LA is like, well, we have more ballots than anybody else, and like the entire state of Florida has finished counting on election night, and they're
Yeah.
like, we're about 30% of our way through ballots, and we've had these for weeks. It doesn't. They have bad policies. They need to fix them. Is the real answer.
Yes, there you go. That's what it comes down to. Drazen ended up winning governor by about 32,000 votes, which is in that field, in that scenario, pretty good scenario there for her moving forward. Senate District 3, the Democrat side, Denise Kraus only won by 200 votes. So in a 4 or 5 way primary, but it really came down to Jeff Golden's handpicked replacement and Denise Kraus, who wasn't. And she ended up winning because I think there was a few more Democrats in Medford than there was in Ashland that kind of turned out. I haven't seen the precinct level reports, but just the kind of total county level. But the one thing that stuck out when I was looking at this, Reagan, and I love your take because you lived in Southern Oregon, there was 17,847 Democrat ballots cast and only 10,651 Republican ballots cast. That feels like a problem.
It's a little scary. I'm going to be honest. I would need to go back in and look at the primary, and I'll try to pull it up while we're talking. So the last time Republicans had this seat was Alan DeBoer. Do you remember what year that was,
Yeah.
Brian?
Allen would have won in not 16. He would have won in 14, right? No,
14.
12.
Okay.
12,
I think
12 was
that's right.
daughter. 12 was daughter.
No,
Allen
so
must have
daughter ran in 10 and in 14, I think, because
14.
it
Yeah.
was off season. This is the off cycles.
Yes.
So
And then he
that
quit and there was a
means
special
that
election. Because remember, he
16 or
quit.
18. Well, Bates died, I think. Oh, well, DeBoer quit. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think DeBoer ran for a 2-year term and then he declined to run for the full
Yes. Which
term,
was
if that's
16.
something like that.
Which was
Okay.
16.
So I'm
'Cause that's
working
on
on
the
pulling
same.
up. Yeah, so let's see if we can find the official results from the primary.
Yeah,
This
it
is
would have
going
been
so
18.
slow. I'm embarrassing us here.
Yeah, you do have bad internet.
Yeah,
Regardless.
2018. That was the year I ran the
Yeah.
Gomez campaign. That's right. So 16
Okay.
primary results is where I'm going. That's a big margin. So, again, it's not determinative, but it's not what you want. So,
It's not determined,
hopefully,
but I'll give you some other numbers that I looked at. What I see though is a Democrat electorate that is definitely fired up to vote, and maybe a
yeah,
Republican one that isn't. That's kind of what it really shows. And then that's a big number to make up with non-affiliated voters. That means your NAVs have to break like 80-20. It's a lot.
it's and you could see. I mean, here's the other thing that you may necessarily see is that just because all those Democrats only got to vote in the primary and voted for those candidates doesn't mean they're happy with their candidate in the general. So they some of them could flip for Brad, and I could definitely see that being what gets him that seat potentially. So I think there's still the possibility of that. I think he has the ability to go out there and get some sane Democrats who wouldn't get to vote for him if they're registered Dem, would still probably vote in their primary, but maybe don't stick with him,
Yeah.
or stick with their Democrat. I mean, so there's the possibility of that. But obviously, you want it to be a lot closer.
So this election was on.
All right. So Dotterer and Bates in 2014. Bates had 14,000. Dotterer had 10,000. So again, it's weird how stagnant the Republican number can be.
Yeah.
And 14 wasn't as close.
That's crazy.
As some of these other races have been.
But still, so then 10 would liken it to which one you said had 10? Was that Dotterer?
Yeah. And then so in 2010, when Dotterer got very close to beating Alan Bates, he had 7,000. Bates had 10,000. So percentage-wise, it seems like a similar gap, maybe slightly more Democratic. But if Republicans can bring the Democratic enthusiasm back down to earth, that would help
Yeah.
at the
Uh,
national level.
it's something to think about as far as like maybe what, because I'm looking at a few other races where there's competitive to see like, will that, does that same, narrative play out? So we'll have to do that looking in the post election. So, Senate District 6, Tibbetts ended up winning by 1,500 votes, and then Munoz winning by 800 votes against Janine Salmon. So up there in Hillsborough, over
Also,
700K spent in that race. In a
that's a
primary.
lot of money in a primary.
Yeah.
The other thing too is they fixed the results page. They go back to alternating Democrat Republican. So thank you to the folks who heard us. Probably didn't hear us. Probably just realized there was a mistake
Oh
and
no, they're
fixed it.
listening to crosstabs.
51 to or 52 really to 45 and a half. That is not as close as it was on election night. So the progressive ballots, they break very hard and they break very fast. And that is something that the non-lefty Democrats are going to have to figure out if they want to remain competitive in primaries.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, the message sending doesn't stop at the primary. Munoz was at the Capitol for legislative days. She was sitting in the front of Solomon's committees. She had her Union Goon Minion friends marching outside of her office, apparently, maybe to the Star Wars Imperial March. And apparently, there were some legislators who did a town hall about Chromebooks and reducing education and technology. I just got this an anonymous tip, and OEA said they would need money for paper,
Yeah.
and that was their thing is well, we might need money for paper, and I was like, well, could we use the money from the technology that we would stop buying? I don't know. Apparently, they don't seem to be able to see that, and then OEA apparently said that they think that some people have been putting them in a bad light. They sent out an email saying that they were because they actually did oppose the cell phone ban. They said OEA maintained a neutral position. We neither supported or opposed the bill because the cell phone ban has basically worked, as far as I can tell. A lot of the reports are that it has improved kids' attitudes in the classes and had make a lot of them more productive. And they tried to kill the bill. Now, whether they tried to kill the bill publicly or not, I guess that may be the thing that they are questioning. They're just making sure people know that they didn't publicly try to kill the bill. But I strongly believe and have many people that have told me that they did try to kill the no cell phones in school bill and I think they did succeed in killing the bill. That's why the governor had to go out and do the executive order, basically. So OEA seems to be pro iPad kids in class, pro cell
Yeah.
phones in class, and if you take away those things, they want extra money for paper, apparently. So that's our teachers union. Fascinating stuff.
So are we going to be now just anti-technology? Because I
I don't
guess
think we
it's
should be
another,
anti-tech.
I don't know.
Go
It's
ahead.
another learning turn. It's another learning tool is all AI is. It's the calculator. It's the thing. Teachers have to like what they're doing in college that I saw, and they're starting to do this just because I follow where my kids are going, but at Grand Canyon, they're starting to do oral exams. And oral
Interesting.
exams are great
I
because
think
you
some
can't
kids
use AI.
I think yeah, and I think oral exam. I think all this stuff is good actually because I think kids need to be taught how to use AI, but I think kindergarten's the wrong time, right? I think you should learn how to use a computer, but maybe not at the very beginning, right? If you can't read and write on paper and you can't, write, I think that's a problem. And so I think what we didn't do as we didn't study a lot of the technology to figure out where it should go in the spectrum of learning. And I think elementary, for the most part, I think a lot of that can be done on paper and pencil. And that's what, I mean, my kids are homeschooled, so we can kind of do however we want. I want them to learn technology. They already know how to use an iPad, but we're doing kind of more of a less screens summer.
Yeah.
We're only going to do movies together. We're not going to do iPads on their own and just spend more time outdoors and spend more time with paper and pencil for school. And then I think once you start to get to middle school or high school, start introducing and teaching the technology and things like that. And I think there's plenty of time in that space to transition kids into that because it's going to be in their workforce for sure. But you don't want to rob them of the opportunity to be able to learn, have decent handwriting, unlike myself, things like that. That's kind of how I see it. We don't want to become Luddites, and I don't want that. But I think maybe the technology has gone too far.
I'm with you there. I think Alex has better handwriting than me. I mean, you work with him. I think his is way better than mine, probably better than yours. Some kids are just good at it.
It is.
Some people are just good at it and stuff. Like my block printing skills are fine, but like not my. If I were to write like cursive writing or something, I think it's pretty painful. So now I think you're right. I think it's going to be a good question. There's going to be a lot of, I heard a lot this week, and we'll talk about Ledge Days, but one of the big things is going to be the QEM model and the budgeting. And so higher education was a big thing with SOU needing $15 million. Like education is going to rear its ugly head in the 27 session. And it's going to be interesting because with this fight that we're just talking about with, you got Democrat socialists, i.e. communists, coming in, and it'll be curious to see how that will play out in the wake of some of these primaries and some of these new players that we're bringing into the mix. Because personalities, especially on the majority party side, do tend to upset policymakers a little bit more so than minority party players, because clearly if you're in a super majority, they don't really need us there except for just to be there. They don't need our vote.
Well, they don't unless they want to pass something the socialists don't want. Yeah. And then they do need the Republicans. And that's the interesting dynamic here. And that's the choice leadership will have to make is, do they want to go with the socialists, in which case they often lose the Republicans and the moderate Democrats, of which there's still enough oftentimes to make a difference, or do they want to go the kind of more what we'd call the Oregon way, which is Democrats and Republicans together, not everybody getting everything they want, but making progress on the issue. And I think that's sort of the interesting thing is with June Ledge Days and having plenty of legislators not show up for June Ledge Days because they're on vacation. That's fine. I wasn't necessarily saying they shouldn't be. Although if you send a press release and it says from Salem, Oregon, you should probably be in Salem, Oregon when you send that press release. Just a thought. But there's some legislators that go out of the country and then they send press releases from Salem, Oregon. So very interesting stuff. You can text me if you want to know who that is. But nothing happened at June Ledge Days that mattered, okay? These are per diem days. So if you're there, you get your per diem. And if you're not there, I guess you don't get your – or do you still get per diem for Ledge Days even if you're not there? I don't know, actually.
Good question. I feel like
I'll have to check on that one.
You would know more than me.
You have to sign a form. So I feel like if you don't sign the form, I feel like you don't get it. My boss is usually there for Ledge Days, so we're always there to fill out the form. But no progress was made on any of those issues, though. They gave the money to SOU. SOU's doing their overhaul plan. We didn't make progress on figuring out how to fund schools. What's going to happen is the unions are going to come, and they're either going to ask for a tax that they get more cut of, or they're going to ask for more of the general fund at the end of the day. And I don't know what the appetite is for that when they are behaving the way that they are, which is very much in poor taste and really being poor winners. So I think that, and in times past, I think leadership would intervene and say, hey, this is not an acceptable way to act, even if you win an election. Your candidate can wait until they actually become the senator-elect or whoever. Just you've only won the primary. Kind of got to remember that this process belongs to the voters still. So let's respect the voters. Let's respect the current office holders, even if they're not coming back. I understand they've reduced influence, and now you don't need to meet with them if you have an issue for the 27 session, right? And that's fine. But respect the fact that they're still the chair of the committee. They still hold the seat. They still have the vote. Yeah. Whatever it is, right? I don't feel like that's hard stuff. But for some of these new socialists, they are more about message than actually getting stuff done. And that's why they lose.
Yeah.
They keep losing in the legislature because they're not about the policy. They don't understand the policy.
No.
Or they just want to stomp around and demand their way instead of negotiating the policy. Because if they've negotiated the policy, they've capitulated. Same with the far right folks. They have the same problem. It's like a horseshoe, man, and that horseshoe's so close to touching on the edges there between the Democratic Socialists and the far right Republicans. They have a lot more in common than they'd like to think.
Yeah, right. They're just activists, really. They don't even have they get to a certain point to where they don't even have an agenda, a legislative agenda, because they don't care. They just want to be activists. They just want to post shit on social media and just be, they want to their base, right? They just want to appeal to their base in any way they can, but they're not there to actually, because, state legislature, Reagan, you and I know this very well, and most people that listen to this pod know it. It's boring work. Like the policy work for 6 months it's a grind. And it's a grind to get one word changed in a policy from shall to may to you name it, right? I mean, but that's all trying to grind out good policy versus just being an activist and saying, well, let's just tax the data centers or let's do this. And they just throw these things out so they can, hurry up on their phone and run to their social media and tell all their, all their socialist friends that they want to ban data centers. Like, well, one, you can't. Like you can, but I mean, the reality is already here, so you can't make them believe now, and then also a lot of them have land they purchase. A lot of them have, land that's already has by right their ability to build on it, so like you're getting into a very murky area with stuff, and that's called real hard work, turns out. And a lot of them, like you said, don't really want to do the hard work, the heavy lifting of policy making. They just want to be, campaign activists, basically. So
it's a 2-hour roundtable. It's amendment number. It's the -21 amendment, right? Like with 16 different stakeholders like that. Neither of the far edges want to do that. They want to do that. And I think
why they usually don't pass that many bills.
They don't. They absolutely don't.
Yeah. Well, hey, in the House, let's run those through real quick because there's only a couple.
Yeah.
Tammy Carpenter, speaking of communists, she won by about 500 votes. So she ended up just, again, like you were saying, the far left, they sure like to turn in their ballots after the deadline. And then Max Sherman won up against Javity. This is one where I'm curious because he ended up winning the primary by about 700 votes, but it was about a dead heat as regards to the number of votes Javity got in the primary and the number of votes that were total cast in the Republican primary. So I'm curious it was about 7,800 to 7,500, right, in the Republican favor. So I'd be curious to see how this one plays out relative to what we were just talking about down south, right, where this is basically a dead heat. And so really whoever wins the middle really wins. And I didn't notice much dissension from Javity on the Democrat side at all. Even though he was out literally saying it's the Javity gas tax, which I find that to be pretty wild. So when there's some polling that comes out on this race, I think that's going to be pretty wild to see is where the NAVs kind of break on this one, and how does Javity reposition himself in a general? So that's going to be interesting one to watch for that.
And I think, the one thing the Democrats do benefit from is having this thing in May, the gas tax. I think if you're the Republicans, you definitely want to still try to hang him as the key vote to pass the gas tax, the one that we can't trust, who said he opposes taxes and now he doesn't, who says he's a Republican and now he isn't. You're going to want to cast him as a flip-flopper. I think that's the right call. But if we're too far removed from that gas tax argument and voters don't care anymore, that's going to make that a harder sell. And so I don't know where you go from there. I don't know what issues you tackle him on. I'm sure there's other things the Republicans will put out there. And you like the early vote, though, for the R's on this seat. If people are just locked into voting party, Javity's going to have a real problem without a blue tsunami. Really, even a blue wave may not save him. He might require a total tsunami in order to win.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. I mean, maybe he'll just say Max Sherman is MAGA, which the problem is I'm Trump won the district, so that makes it a little bit harder to do.
Right.
So yeah, you got to be a little more careful with some of that stuff. So yeah, that was going
I
to be a
think
fun one to watch.
Javity's pivot may be into a little being a little MAGA-ish. I mean, he's had to go in the primary hard left to make sure people think he's a
Yeah,
Democrat, but now he's going to have to pivot back to win some of the center, and it's not a liberal center in that
yeah.
area. So you may see him actually go back to his and he never really was MAGA when he was a Republican either. He never really ran that way.
No, no,
Um, and I
no.
mean, you worked on some of his races or worked around some of his races, and he was never very MAGA. So I think he's going to have a real problem there, and I don't think Sherman is going to at all. I think he's the kind of guy that they love up there. So
Well, we hope
Javity
so.
maybe in some trouble. Yeah, we definitely hope so.
Yeah,
Republic this is a must win for Republicans too, because if you can just flip parties and get chairmanships, man, we are done.
yeah, yeah. And then the only other one that was kind of close is Adam Baker still won and by 160 votes or so.
He just loves himself a close race. I think
Yeah,
that's
I
all it
think
is. He
so.
just loves a
Yeah,
close race. So close wins though are better than close losses. So
they
let's hope for
sure
that.
are. A win's a win's a win. Doesn't matter how many votes, man. And then the only real commissioner
Yep.
race that we were still keeping our eye on was that Jake Pelroy race, and he ended up winning by 400 votes, but he didn't get to the threshold. So he's got to move on to November, and I don't know how that's going to play out for our commissioners as you get more. If does more voters there help him, or does less voters? And I don't know the answer. I haven't really studied his district, but Lane County. Just when you say Lane County, I freak out when you think more people are going to vote. I would think, but that area is pretty
Yes, and
Republican, so be curious to how that one plays out.
yeah,
So
they always had that commissioner seat for a long time, and I think have just hit some bad luck against Buck. So they're hoping Jake Pelroy is the one to break the streak, and he obviously won the fundraising mission out there, and so he'll need to do that again and work hard. And I expect that he will. I am supposed to mention too that we didn't even notice that out in Harney County, like 10-year Commissioner Patty Doro was defeated by Tom Doman, and apparently there was it was just kind of a local contest that flew under the radar, but she didn't work it and he did. And so congrats to Mr. Tom winning that position as a commissioner.
wow, crazy. Yeah, I
So
saw some of the ones.
and shout out to Stacy who ran that race. Great job.
Oh, is that who texted you? That's funny.
I saw her during Ledge Days.
Oh, nice. That's fun. Good for her. Good for him. Yeah. So I think it just goes to show you that you have to do the work, regardless of who you are. I mean, you have to
You
do the
do.
work. You can't just ignore it and just expect it to win. And you always see that with Democrats. I think they're pretty good. I mean, even Ron Wyden and Merkley. I mean, as much as I don't like how they do everything, I mean, they do everything. They do the town halls, they do the
Mm-hmm.
things, they do I mean, they have TDS worse than anybody in the world, but they do work it, and it's hard to when somebody works it, and then they always, I mean, even Wyden last time ran negative ads against Joe Ray Perkins. I mean, so they take every challenge, as a challenge, right? So because if you do nothing, then that's how you kind of get those upsets. All right, City of Salem, real quick. We also were asked to cover that one. I think it's fairly final. So Julie Hoy got walloped by Nordyke for mayor, and then Ward 2 got Martinez crushed by Nishiaka, and then Ward 4. So what this was like, basically everybody, they kind of lost the city on the heels of them winning that payroll tax, which was a big thing. I guess short memories on all of this sort of stuff. So now they can come back and do the payroll tax again. But I think the only one that was super close was that Vega and Mai Vang. I think it's just because people got their names messed up is why it was so close. Who do I vote for, Vega or Vang? I
Well,
think
and I
that's
guess
hilarious.
I think one of those candidates, and I can't. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting which candidate is which. Unfortunately, but one of them had a ton of tickets, and being really bad at driving is actually kind of a really bad thing when you're running for office. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So candidates, if you've got a lot of tickets, maybe be a staffer. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe don't
maybe the
run
mayor lady.
for
I was making
office.
fun of. Maybe I was making. We were making fun of the lady running for mayor at one point of Portland, and she had like 42 parking tickets or whatever. And then it was funny because somebody went and looked me up, and I had like 14 parking
Oh,
tickets.
Brian.
I know, and they were trolling me on X, and it was great. And they're like, "Oh," and they were all while I was working downtown Portland back in like 2000, which I thought was
Wow.
hilarious. And I go, "Yeah, but I'm also not running for mayor of Portland."
No.
You know, I would just
Um,
laugh at it. She tried to like downplay it. I think you just got to laugh at it and just say I'm a shitty driver. So, you
that's
know,
right. That's
yeah,
why just make it talk about public transportation, how much you love public transportation
yeah,
if you're
there you
bad at
go.
driving, right? Or
When I
walking
win, I'm going to
or
ride the bus
biking.
every day with all the drug dealers and the homeless people.
That's right. There you
Yeah,
go. Hey, Brian, speaking of doing the work, so do you remember, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, Kotek, or actually, okay, according to this, 5 days ago, feels like a couple of weeks ago, Kotek dared Drazen to three TV debates, one in
yeah,
Portland, one in Eugene, and one in Medford. Now, conveniently, two of those are core constituencies for her, and she doesn't throw Bend in there, which is interesting, which has its own TV kind of region, right? So
yeah,
anyway, she did that. And those are also all on the I-5 corridor. We do need to highlight that. There are a few people that live east of I-5. So Kotek has now, after challenging for those three debates, declined to do a summer debate with the Oregon Newspaper Publishers Association in July. She says, quote, "I will not be attending the publisher event, but that has nothing to do with avoiding any conversation, and I look forward to the debates in the fall. Kotek has other things that need to be prioritized this summer," she said. Obviously, I saw this first from the Drazen campaign, who were very quick to point out that the governor is ducking this debate. And I believe basically talked about how she is ducking answering for her record. Now, that's pretty typical stuff that you'd expect. But what do you make of
yeah.
Kotek's decision here to skip this July debate?
Listen, I mean, I think she's going to be flying all over the country looking for an ODOT director, but I think that's why she's busy. But
And maybe
I,
doing fundraisers while she's out there?
yeah, right, scrounging up some national money. Um, I think that the apprehension feels because you could clear your schedule, right? You're the governor. You could clear your
Yeah.
schedule if you really wanted to do the newspapers debate. I think she probably doesn't want to give Christine any kind of room early. And the later
No
you make,
ammo, nothing to
yeah,
use,
the later you do
no
debates
clips.
generally help the incumbent. So the less you do, because clearly that's just, and Christine's a good debater. So, and now she's got a record and she's probably been prepping. So that means she's going to just bomb city on her on policies and things that she believes that the electorate is going to be, against Kotek on. So it's definitely more a political decision than it is I'm too busy traveling.
Yeah.
Um,
Or if she didn't want what she didn't want to have happen was the Biden. She didn't want to get Bidened by her own party, have an early
yeah,
debate to prove your competence
yeah,
despite the accusations and then prove you're not in the debate and get tossed as the nominee. I mean, I think
yeah.
there isn't a ton of enthusiasm on the Democrat side for the governor, is kind of what I pick up from a lot of people. And so she doesn't need to give those folks any more ammo to talk about. Well, you've got a combination of things. Could be demands for her to drop out. Obviously, you don't want that to happen. Could be people who are kind of just go, we're not super excited. We're going to stay home. We'll vote next time for a candidate we actually are excited about, right? So she needs to avoid all that stuff let Trump take as many headlines as he can, and then she just inserts her name right below his, fighting. And this is one of the other things too that becomes very clear in the legislative days. And this is a strategy and a thing to watch for, from Democrats. Trump does something they hate or that they don't like. They attack it and say they will not, absolutely not, we're not doing that, we won't. And then they secretly try to find a way to accomplish it, because if it involves money, such as HR1 and losing healthcare money, they're going to have to comply, or they're going to have to cut all kinds of services, which they don't want to do. So be on the lookout for a bunch of Democrats complying with things they attacked Trump for and said they aren't going to do 3 months ago, because ultimately our budget has a lot of federal dollars, and they're not going to say no to the federal dollars at the end of the day. They're going to try to find a way to oppose and make sure people know what Oregon's quote unquote liberal, socialist, Democrat values are. And then they're going to go see if they can use the other hand and still reach for the money. So pay attention to that strategy. It's an effective one. It's worked for them so far, and they're going to keep it up.
Why not? They've won 40 years.
Yep.
It's hard to go back on history.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll find out what happens. I mean, and Christine, like, right, she's going to basically take any and all opportunities she can to debate her, to get on the stage with her, to upstage her, to hound her when she doesn't. I mean, that's what she's supposed to do. And, I think I think even Christine's probably more prepared for this governor's race than she was 4 years ago too. I think that, there's a certain level of stage presence and all those sort of things that you learn, and you only learn that from being on it. You can't teach it to anybody. You got to just learn it. And I think she's probably, a little bit more, especially when it comes to Kotek, because they've gone some serious number of wars together. And I heard the latest thing that the D's were pretty pissed about Kotek on was the fact that she wouldn't redistrict.
I have read a little bit about that. The chatter on that, they've kept it very quiet.
They have, but the rank and file Democrats, like, that's what I was talking to. The rank and file, like some of the PCPs and stuff that are Ds, like they said their people are pissed because they just hate Trump, right?
Mm-hmm. And after the Virginia decision, they didn't do as well in this redistricting war as they thought they were going to. It started out Republicans were winning, and then Democrats had some wins, and then at the end of the day, it looks like the Republicans still come out on top. Their biggest problem, of course, is that they haven't had population growth. We've had population stagnation and decline. And so even if you redistrict and you can win that sixth seat, and now you've got 6 Democrats, you're going to lose at least one when we lose a seat. And so they really don't want to stretch too far. They probably they would try to take Bentz out in the next set of redistricting by eliminating, quote unquote, his seat. Of course, numerically, it's number 2, so it's never actually going to go away. And I think even then, you'd really be stretching your Democratic margins in a state that has 45% turnout among Republicans statewide. It votes, 40 to 45% Republican. But that doesn't mean they won't try. And I'm sure they have draft maps somewhere from when they tried last time and decided against it. But they're pretty good at the redistricting stuff. I mean, they've got this situation dialed in pretty well.
Well, and mostly, and I think it's all blue states are losing seats in 2030 based on projections right now. So the more they just keep losing population, unless you pack the court, which is what they want to do anyways, but it's going to be pretty hard for them to fix a 2030 problem too. So, fun to watch. Mm-hmm. All right, the couple quick notes.
Well, Brian.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I thought you may have an appointment to get yourself to, so I was going to get us out.
I was just going to say,
wrap us up.
Hopefully a couple things I'm looking forward to over the summer is Iran deal. Hopefully that thing sticks. Hopefully, the Democrats are seizing on the $300 billion, but those are all like what ifs in the MOU. Trump came out and said that we'll never pay for it. It'll all come out of basically creating this fee structure with the other Arab states and everything that will be paying for that 300 billion. And that's only if they adhere to the peace side of everything, right? So I'm hopefully that thing sticks. The other piece of news that was pretty awesome was the SpaceX IPO. That was pretty insane watching that thing take off, and just kind of blow the market up again, because I really do believe space is a whole new industry that is going to create a whole new set of jobs and industry things that's really in seeing America lead the way on that with Elon. And it's just awesome, man. I just don't know. I know everybody's afraid of AI and all these sort of things, but the amount of stuff that will come out of a new technology usually catapults a society forward. And I always look at AI as being this incredible opportunity for us to reset who we are as, not just even Americans, but as humans, and what our roles are and what our goals are in life. And it's not, our job doesn't define us. Our faith defines us, our family defines us. Like, those are the things that really define us. And I always believe in technology was given to us by God for the use. And I think that he gives it to us when he knows that we're ready for it. And societal changes come with that. Cultural changes will come with that. But if you ever want to get to a universal income level, if you want UBI, if you want any of those things, you want a 30-hour work weeks and stuff like that, which, hey, listen, I'm kind of in favor of that stuff. I think it's kind of cool. The only way to do that is have somebody else doing the work. It's not opening the southern border and just letting poor migrants in here to mow your lawn. Like, why a robot can do that? A GP with better technology with AI. Like, I mean, it won't even be a robot. Just the lawnmower itself will be AI. Right now, hey, listen,
Right.
they it may be like Maximum Overdrive from the '80s, and they all turn into machines that want to kill us. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. But I think you have to embrace it, not fight it just because it's Elon, and not fight it just because it's Trump. Like, this stuff was all happening before. And by the way, it's here, and it is now. And if you're not using AI or trying to utilize AI to do your job, you are already behind. And I think SpaceX is a whole
Space
other thing where it just goes into a whole new level. So, anyways,
well, the space race in what, the 60s with JFK and that drove America forward to be better, not just with technology, but just as a country, right? And that's what it can do again. And that's what I think, like, you're missing if you think that Elon, if you just all you read is his Twitter and you don't pay attention to the fact that he's actually working on stuff that's really, really cool and designed to push us forward. I mean, I just bought Starlink finally, hoping to set it up to actually get some decent rural internet and connecting the
thank
whole
God.
world through the internet. If we don't spend all of our time on social media, will be really great. Now, if we spend all of our time on social media, it's not going to be great. Spend less time on social media. I highly recommend it. I'm doing a little bit of a break myself, and I think it's going to make me a healthier person. And then with all of that access to internet comes understanding and learning AI and how to use it just to do our jobs better. When the technology launches forward, the jobs don't disappear; they change. Right? No longer you mowing the lawn; it's the robot mowing the lawn. Right? And just don't mix up your robot floor cleaner for inside with your lawnmower. Obviously, that's important. You're going to need somebody who knows how to do that, right? So don't be afraid of it. Absolutely. That's what I agree. And taking us back to technology, let's stay humans and let's, not all become
Yeah.
robots ourselves. And that's what I think a lot of the scrolling on social media has turned us into, robots. And that's why we're trying to create these spaces where we can think and learn and then still also use technology, but mostly in a productive way. So
Yeah.
I think that's what the most positive is. So
Man, and
with
this
that, I'm going to go
idea,
order some stuff on Amazon
and this idea that we could
from a
somehow
data center
from a data center, right? But this idea that you could have
and a warehouse.
data centers in space that are running off of solar, that you have no cooling to worry about, because whenever you need cooling, you just open the doors, right? I mean, space is really cold. And I think that
Yep.
there's so much and you need robots to work in those data centers because clearly we can't survive in space. So you have, a robot who doesn't need to breathe that can work in a field like that. And it's not the robots you think of like human looking robots. It's, just an AI machine that goes up and down is replacing processor pieces, right? And stuff. I mean, that's all it's going to do up there. But then you're really decreasing the footprint of data centers on Earth. And then I mean, all this is going to change dramatically over the course of the next 10 years. And man, what a wild time to be alive. I think it's great. I even think the arguments are fun to have about should or shouldn't we. And it's okay to have that argument. But you just can't be absolute in your discussion because then you're just playing the activism side of it and you're not actually trying to find the solution. So that's my rant on
it. Yep, that's right. Well, I think we've done it, Brian. I think we've manufactured a podcast out of almost no news, which is what you got to do when you're in the content business. So this podcast is in your email. Legislative Days could have been an email. But we'll be back in September, and I think we may actually do some real work in September when there is some deadlines to submit our legislative concepts.
Yeah, well, definitely the September Ledge Days should hopefully show a little bit more, and wish us luck as we head to the land of the Scots and the Irish. And then we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll celebrate America's 250th in Iowa. So our family's going to have some fun next couple of weeks. My son playing for Team USA, which is kind of cool to go
Very
watch
cool.
him. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I'll try to post some of that stuff on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, but that'll be I'll definitely stay off X because all I do is like to post all the people to get their asses handed to them on a subway or a bus. My single-handedly taking on the public transit system across the United States of America with the help of all of my criminal friends.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you.
Sounds good. We're going to be doing the Vacation Bible School circuit, and then I don't know where we'll be for 4th of July yet. Probably just home. I like being home, so we'll celebrate it. Home of the free.
Nice. Awesome. Land of the brave. See you, buddy.
Bye.